This is the story's debut. This is its outing. Story, you're coming out. It's just as well my son isn't here. He'd say, why do you say things like that, Mum? You sound like you're completely crazy. Who cares? Exactly. The leg doesn't care and the arm doesn't care. None of us care. So this is actually quite a sad story. It's a breakup story. And I don't know, there's something about breaking up and making up, falling in love or breaking up, that you somehow songs seem to encapsulate. There's often one particular song that you associate with falling in love with somebody, and then there'll be one particular song that you might associate breaking up with somebody. So this is my character's song for this breakup. And they're at a philosophy course, as you'll find out in a minute. And I don't know if anybody's ever attended one of these residential courses, but I was once teaching a course, and there were different groups of people all doing different courses. And after a while, you began to be able to pick out who was doing what course. You knew which people were doing Understanding the Weather course, because they all had a particular look on their faces. Anyway, so these characters are in the philosophy course. As soon as they told me they were playing Ella in the big house, I rushed out of the cottage and ran as fast as I could across the lawn. The grass was sodding wet, and so were your cheeks when I reached the kitchen table. It was just as I thought, bang on cue. I heard they were playing Ella. I ran as fast as I could. I was out of breath, bent over double. You looked at me gratefully, wiping the tears away with the backs of your hands, still managing to look surprisingly sexy as you did so. We'd already decided to split up, or rather, you'd said you just couldn't do it anymore. I knew I'd find you crying the minute I heard they were playing Ella, I said. What are we doing splitting up when we can read each other's minds, you sighed. Is it me, or is she particularly emphasizing the word die on this version, I said. You shrugged. It's true, isn't it? Goodbyes. They're a small death. The tears now flowed liberally down your sometimes haughty black cheeks. I'm going to miss you, you half sobbed. I'm going to miss you too, I said. I'm really, 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 really going to miss you, I said, throwing myself into it wholeheartedly. Part of me was quite enjoying the drama of it all. Why are we doing this to ourselves, you whispered. I shrugged. I suddenly became aware of all the people watching us warily in the kitchen. The cooking group had already started in the evening meal. Tonight was spaghetti bolognese with meat for the meat eaters and corn for the vegetarians. I told them to make sure they got some Worcester sauce, the only thing that makes the veggie version tolerable. And you looked at me quite admiringly, I thought. Our night for helping with the dinner was yet to come, and I'd already assisted in choosing the menu. We'd come to attend a residential philosophy course at a house in Wales by the sea, attracted by a quote from Socrates on a poster at Bethnal Green Tube. The unexamined life is not worth living. Some of the students greeted your outburst relatively philosophically. Thankfully, nobody asked any questions about the tears. One man, was his name Derek, just kept chopping onions, oblivious, it seemed. And one woman, Amy, incredibly fresh-looking skin and bright brown eyes, chopped chestnut mushrooms, looking at you sympathetically with her head tilted to the one side. Interesting how people tilt their heads in sympathy. What's that about? Actually, I was starting to think the converse was true too. The examined life is not worth living. The over-examined life is a pain in the arse. The over-examined life is a Western indulgence. It was your idea, the philosophy. Perhaps you thought it a kinder way to break up if we could think at the same time. Use your mind as well as your heart. You thought we might find big ideas that would soften the blow of separation. But standing in the kitchen of the huge house with a stranger slicing onions and spouting Socrates was not exactly hitting the spot, if I'm honest. I had thought a week extra with you was a week extra with you, and maybe that I'd be able to use the philosophy to prove a point, that it was pointless denying the force of our hearts. On the first evening, we had a philosophical spat, and I very nearly packed my bags and left. We were both on one on Plato, every heart sings a song incomplete until another heart whispers back. I said, sotto voce in our bedroom. Turn out the light, you said, and we lay in the dark, spatting for some time. Love is a serious mental disease, you quoted from the maestro. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of light, I said, turning the light back on. I turned it on at precisely the wrong moment, just in time to see the biggest spider ever pinch its way across the carpet, fast, thick. Jesus H. Christ, I said. I've no idea where that came from. I think I saw every one of its 8 legs. I gripped your arm. It's huge. It might even have fur on it. I was trying to control my breathing. I'm not usually scared of spiders, but that one's a bit big even for me. Maybe all this talk about examining our fears was actually starting to make me feel very, very afraid. Turn the light off again, you said. I can't, I said. It's got to be the biggest spider ever. It's got to be caught in the glass and removed from this bedroom. It scuttled towards the chair under the window. Go and fetch one of the philosophers. It turned out that most of the people on the philosophy course had full-on arachnophobia. 8 people in the cottage where we were all sleeping had an intense dislike of the air-breathing arthropods. One mild-mannered girl, Lucy, I think, said, it's not an idle fear, they have fangs that inject venom, you know. Another guy, quite a laid-back guy, Kwame, said, nah, I'm not over fond of their sticky web. A few philosophers had gone to bed early and we didn't have the heart to wake them up. For all we knew, they might be enjoying a deep, philosophical sleep. I don't know if that's statistically unusual or not. So many spider-phobic folk that's quite hard to say, spider-phobic folk. Let's all try it, no? Spider-phobic folk under one roof. Or perhaps the people attracted to the course were desperately seeking philosophy as a way of dealing with everything from lovers to spiders.